Who are those guys?
Crystal poachers. There's no lower form of life. They think the galaxy's their own personal piggy bank.
Wait, then what are we?
We're Rick and Morty.
Hey friends, I'm in Hawaii with my family, so the audio quality might not be all that great. Also, I'm growing out this awful mustache for Movember, so the facial quality might not be all that great, but the episode was great. Make sure you guys watch it before watching this, because there are spoilers ahead. Now let's break down Rick and Morty Season 4, Episode 1, Edge of Tomorty, Rick Die Repeat. This new season's opening title sequence is awesome, but I feel like I need some more time with it because there's a lot of familiar things from previous seasons and I don't just want to throw that away, so I'm gonna make another deep dive video just for that. The name of this episode is a reference to the film Edge of Tomorrow, which was also marketed as Live Die Repeat. In it, Tom Cruise touches an alien and gains the ability to live the same day over and over again. In the A-plot for this episode, Rick takes Morty on a classic valuable item retrieval adventure, like in the pilot, only instead of mega seeds, on planet Forbogelon Prime, it's death crystals, minerals that give you the power to see your own death.
Death crystals show you how you're gonna die.
The catalyst for the episode is that Morty is following a path towards dying with Jessica at his side no matter the consequences.
I love you, Morty.
The whole episode was set up for a punchline in the after-credits scene, though, as it turns out that Jessica was working at a hospice care facility, and she tells everyone that she loves them as they're dying. Jessica's Insta name is Yasika, so look for that name popping up in your Insta feed. While there are 6 actual Rick deaths and 1 Morty death in the episode, there are so many deaths and Easter eggs in the Death Crystal visions. Morty's possible future deaths that I found include but aren't limited to an explosion from the bomb in the Vindicators episode, being sucked into a spaceship toilet, getting stabbed by a pitchfork by Farmer Rick, getting his head caught in an elevator door, being embarrassed to death after hitting on a lesbian, getting eaten by the birds in Froopyland, getting poisoned by eating Greebybobe food. Greebybobes are the Kermit-like aliens from the Get Schwifty episode, a car splashing a barrel of toxic waste on his skin, getting squished in the trash compactor from Star Wars A New Hope, a heart attack while smoking on the toilet like Elvis, a hidden explosive in a Russian Matryoshka doll, a drug overdose with a needle in his arm while receiving CPR from a woman with a black eye, burning in nuclear fire while holding a fence like Sarah Connor's dream in Terminator 2, Magician Rick throwing a dagger into Morty's chest, getting hit by a truck while looking at his cell phone, eating berries from a tree causes his head to explode, tripping down a flight of stairs, falling to his death after trying to reach a book, giant welts on his face from the sun at a possibly alien beach, a Thelma and Louise-like ride off of a cliff, drowning with a weight tied to his foot, a xenomorph face sucker from the Alien movie franchise, being electrocuted by someone in a horned mask while someone dressed as the Egyptian god Anubis watches, a Final Destination style death by metal falling off the back of a truck through the windshield of Morty's sad orange sedan, jumping from a building and getting hit by a train, falling while jumping from a giant enter key on a giant keyboard, and tons of deaths by the Dirty Bully. Rick's possible deaths include being ripped apart by Squanchy, a giant spider cocooning and then sucking his blood, being eaten by a dog as Pickle Rick, being burned at the stake, drunk spaceship flying, a giant plant with the Stranger Things Demogorgon mouth, a multi-headed Morty monster, being eaten by a giant fish, and finally being stamped into a Play-Doh mold and squirting out of the star-shaped hole. We see a few other versions of Rick and Morty in this episode. They include Fascist Rick, Fascist Morty, Fascist Shrimp Rick, Hollow Rick, and Wasp Rick. The fascist teddy bear Rick asks C-137 teddy bear clone Rick if he's fascist in German, causing C-137 Rick to kill himself. The fascist teddy bears remind me of the Nazi bears from the N64 game Conker's Bad Fur Day. Fascist Morty seems to be the writers of the show making fun of toxic Rick and Morty fans.
Stop doing meta commentary. Just have fun.
They even brought back Gearface into the space cruiser as a reference for the call by some fans to stop being political and to bring back old characters. Rick then uses an old character, Meeseeks, to kill the Morty, which was symbolic in itself. It also brought up the question, did that Meeseeks actually feel the lack of oxygen when the glass exploded?
We eat our prey alive, and when we don't, we lay our eggs in their eyeballs so that our young can feast on their brains when they hatch.
Something that I almost missed was that Wasp Rick actually lays his eggs in Hollow Rick's eye after Hollow Rick tries to kill them at the end of the episode.
I'm a crisis detection and correction hologram generated by a chip that real Rick put in your spine.
Hollow Rick had a chip on his shoulder about being a clone. He was definitely a reference to whiny PC culture, and when Rick accused him of gaining sentience, he brought up Isaac Asimov. Isaac Asimov wrote a book called Runaround in 1942 in which there are 3 rules for robots. Those rules are: a robot may not injure a human, a robot must obey orders given to it by humans, and a robot must protect its own existence. Hollow Rick had a pot advocate version of himself he called Berkeley in reference to the city in Northern California that's known for its hippies and weed.
Oh, hey, this ferrofluid's wrapping around my leg.
Ferrofluid is a liquid that responds to magnetic energy. It's crazy fun stuff. Some of the tech stuff in this episode was new. The Forbojulon crystal poachers have guns that look like toy grabber arms. The space cruiser robots look like the Butterbot from Something Wicked This Way Comes, but with different legs.
Oh my god.
Morty uses a levitation ball or something on the dirty bully. Morty sticks another bully on the wall using a sticky gun thing, and he disintegrates what looks like Randall from the show Recess using another gadget. Morty fires a cubing weapon at the cops, which conveniently adds legs to the things you've turned into cubes so you don't have to clean up your own mess, and the grenades he throws at the military rip apart your DNA, turning you to goop. Morty uses the Death Crystal to find the code that reveals Rick's weapons in the garage, which looks like a scene from Men in Black, and some of the guns even look alike. In Riturian Morty Date, Rick threatened,
I'm Doctor Who in this motherfucker. I could be a clone. I could be a hologram.
and in this episode we had both clones and hologram Ricks. There were a ton of callbacks, references, and easy to miss jokes. When the space cruiser lands on Forbojulon, it makes bottle noises as a callback to the pilot episode when Rick's spaceship is filled with bottles. Operation Phoenix is a clone program that C-137 Rick destroyed in his own reality after Big Trouble in Little Sanchez. Rick and Morty putting the Death Crystal on their forehead looks like a reference to one of the Infinity Watch members, either Moondragon from the comics or Vision from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Kirkland brand Meeseeks are apparently a crappy knockoff version of regular Meeseeks. Kirkland is the Costco store brand, and I love their vodka and toilet paper. The Akira references were so deep in this episode. Akira is an anime from 1987 which is set in a dystopian 2019. In it, a kid named Tetsuo can't control his psychic abilities and he turns into a giant flesh monster. When clone Wasp Rick and real Wasp Rick get back to Universe C-137 and find that Morty took a bunch of weapons, Rick checks to ensure his Boglin is still there. Boglins are rubber hand puppets made by the Jim Henson Company and were originally released in 1987, just like Akira. TV host Nancy Grace is shown on the news channel CMN. While Morty uses the correct frequency to subdue the public, we see a banner for a sports team called the Squanchers, a jersey with the name Smith, an advertisement for Justin Roiland's VR game Trover Saves the Universe, and some signs that say corporate America owns you, which it does. Some of my favorite jokes in this episode were Rick using the chip in his head to complete his Amazon wish list while he's sitting at breakfast with his family. The name of the planet that has crystals that show your possible death is named with the root word foreboding, which is a feeling that something bad will happen. Finding out that the judge trying Morty killed herself from the ticker tape in the news broadcast after Morty's trial, that same ticker tape also says no matter how you say LaCroix, you still sound stupid, which cuts me pretty deep. The chalkboard in Mr. Goldenfold's classroom has a few fake equations, some that look like dicks, and ass plus ass equals assess. It says Math 101 over the proof of pi equation called squaring the circle, which isn't Math 101. Also, we see that babies come from space and that Morty has detention. The back of the classroom also has a no flossing sign.
Gaslighting doesn't exist, you made it up because you're f***ing crazy.
The reporters arguing reminded me of the SNL Jane You Ignorant Slut skit.
Jane, you ignorant slut.
And as always, there's a very Jerry moment, which I love.
That finger has AIDS now, not my fault.
You skipped HIV?
He's messing with you, sweetie.
But it's tingling.
Make sure you guys let me know what I missed in the comments, because I like talking about this show as much as you guys do. Thank you so much for watching. I love you, and aloha.